My name's Karita Robert Green, and welcome to the Unwrap Your GIFT podcast, the show where we dance in conversation about all things to do with life, how to find your gifts, and hear stories from inspirational people around the world. You will learn how to celebrate who you truly are, unwrap your gifts, and step into your true, authentic power. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Welcome to season 2 of the Unwrap Your Gift podcast. The season is all about legacy. What is your legacy? Thank you to everybody to listen in today. And I am so excited to be joined by the amazing Junior Ogunyemi.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on the show. It's exciting, very
You're
exciting.
welcome. You're welcome. I'm so glad that you joined us today. Everybody, you are in for an absolute treat. For those of you who don't know about Junior, I'm just going to share a bit of information about him. So Junior coaches and inspires people to become successful entrepreneurs. Whilst at university, he was making headlines for launching many successful ventures and became a multi-award winning business starlet. Due to the remarkable social impact, a publishing company approached Junior to write a book. At the age of 21, he became the best-selling author of the highly influential book, How to Be a Student Entrepreneur. He has worked on government initiatives and advised schools and colleges. His dynamic, inspirational messages have helped to pioneer the current student entrepreneur buzz around the UK and Europe. Through his online resources, he is now showing people across the globe simple, practical strategies so they can make it happen for themselves. Now he travels, speaking to audiences and transforming the lives of others by teaching people how to cultivate an entrepreneurial mindset and maximize potential. Wow, wow. Junior, I'd love if you just share your journey so far and tell us a bit of information about you.
Yeah, every time I hear like highlights on my bio, I'm like, who's that guy? it's, it doesn't feel like, yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. It's a long journey, and obviously I've known you from almost like the very beginning. We go back a long way, and yeah, it's been quite fascinating. I think one of the key things for me is from a very early age, I always said I wanted to find something I like doing and get someone to pay me for it.
Mm.
So it wasn't necessarily about becoming an entrepreneur or a speaker or anything else like that. I just wanted to find things that I like to do and get someone to pay me for it. The earliest thing for me was playing football as a teenager. Thought I was really good at that. And if I don't get a professional contract, then I'm going to get parents to pay me to coach their kids. And then that became like the birth of one of my first and earliest businesses that still run until today, which is a football coaching academy, and it's rapidly grew to the point where, you know, most businesses fail in their first year. We've been running for well over 15, 16 years now. Some of the people I used to coach I now employ. We've gone from like 20 kids in a park to more than 450 kids every single week that we work with. And because of that business, I was able to build a lifestyle for myself where I can invest in other businesses, invest in property, and buy my dream house and have a dream wedding and live an amazing lifestyle. But more importantly, it sowed the seed for me to become an entrepreneur. Because I start to do all of these entrepreneurial things, like, oh, I'm employing people, I'm learning marketing. And so I started to apply that to other areas of my life that I was passionate about, whether it was music, business. I always set up a business around something that I was inspired by or was passionate about. And being an entrepreneur is such a cool blessing and a curse because you see problems everywhere. And it's like, right, I see the problem. Now I'm going to think of an entrepreneurial way to solve the problem, which will add value to other people, which will then bring tokens of value to me, which is money. So it's just like you could be in the middle of the desert and you can sort of see a business opportunity. So that's the blessing of it. And I also say it's a bit of a curse because it means that you tend not to focus on stuff too long because you always see new opportunities. And I think at the early stage of being an entrepreneur, I was doing a lot of that. So I probably worked on like the first 7 years, I probably worked on about 15 to 16 different business ventures.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I was very busy. I was like had business meetings here and here and here and there. It's just like at one point I was probably running about 6 or 7 businesses on the go. and had teams all over the place. And then as you mature and as you grow, you realize that you have the power of focus.
Mm.
And it's very good having all the talent and all the skills and all the resources, but if you can't channel all of that into a particular focus, you never really get the results that you were expecting.
Mm.
Because that whole, the grass is always greener, and really it's only green because you water it, you nurture that same patch. So you don't need to keep looking for shiny objects everywhere else. So, but I enjoyed the whole journey. I enjoyed the whole entrepreneurial journey, and it built all the skills and knowledge that I have now. And I spend a lot of my time now coaching and sharing that knowledge on podcasts and in one-to-one sessions with clients, on stages. So it's given me a whole wealth of experience, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to share with other people so that they don't make the same mistakes. So yeah, so now I work a lot in the sort of the tech world, consulting people, but also working on my own tech ventures as well, and absolutely loving that as well.
Wow, wow, wow. That is a lot to unpack. Firstly, I just acknowledge you for just being somebody who just goes out there, sees an opportunity and creates a business around it. Most of us will see something that thinks, like, oh, you know what, I could do that. I could create a business around that. But before you know it, you've got a business plan, you're out there executing, getting teams involved. Now that's awesome. Thank you. Wow. So you mentioned quite a lot about starting. What age was it? 21 when you started?
That was when I wrote my book. I actually started the business age 17.
Wow, 17. And did you know when you was younger that you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Like, how did you get into this whole wanting to be an entrepreneur?
So I always knew I wanted to do something that I was really like enjoyed. I used to see my mom coming back from work. She was a care worker,
Mm.
and she always used to moan. She always used to moan, "Oh, my boss, she did this to me. Oh, these people did that." Oh, da, 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 da. And obviously, she did it because she needed the money. She needed to put food on the table. My dad didn't moan as much, but he also didn't really seem passionate. He had other aspirations in politics, but he was also working as a car salesman here, and it just set me the example of, I didn't quite understand that. Why would they wake up every single day and do something that they don't like? Obviously, I'm very, very young, like 89 years old here. So I always said, well, in the future, when I grow up, I clearly want to be paid for something that I enjoy doing. It was just wasn't in my mind to go and do something that, just for the money of it.
Mm.
And then my oldest brother was probably the first entrepreneur that I met. So he used to go to seminars and he used to bring back all these books and, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and go to Tony Robbins seminars and stuff like that. So I guess it was always around me. So I used to pick up these books and a bit of knowledge would drop. But I think it was probably when I first started to do it myself, or when I first started to work around other entrepreneurs. That's when I saw the real impact of sort of adding value to people. I'll
Mm.
tell you, probably one of the earliest examples is actually when I went to work with my uncle on a pancake stall.
Oh.
Um, so he had like a little pop-up conference, like a big church conference where there's like tens of thousands of people, and he was at a pancake stall. And his pancake stall had people queuing like round the block. And I was realizing that, you know what, it wasn't just like the taste of the pancake, it was certain things about that, how it's marketed, the fact that it's made right in front of your face and it has to be quick, like, it has to be done within 60 seconds. And it has to be like this nice little conveyor belt of things happening. And all of this stuff was like the magic behind it. And that really sort of inspired me to see, right, how can I build upon, how can I sort of create more magic? How can I get the prices even higher? How can I upsell on toppings and stuff like that? So that's when the mind started to spark off, and I was very sort of action orientated anyway. So if I see something, I just need to try it. I need to do it. I just need to sort of explore it, really. So I think I've kept that childlike action explorer mindset. So whenever I see an opportunity, it's like, right, let's explore this. Let's see what we can do with this. Let's see how quickly we can build this. Let's give ourselves 6 months to see what we can do.
Wow. So you've always been somebody who's seen something and just gone for it. And I love that. I love that. And even though you wanted to be an entrepreneur yourself, you didn't just want to be an entrepreneur for yourself. You thought, let me just share what I know with other people, right? And
Yeah.
that was how I believe your book came about. And I remember when I was doing my entrepreneurial journey back in 2011, and I would see you popping up in my social media. I was like, who's this guy with this book? I really want to meet him. And I invited you as one of my guest speakers, and you came and you blew the room away. And everybody was saying how amazing you were. And you had your book, which I may add, I still have, How to Be a Student Entrepreneur. I used to sell this book at the events, and the queue, you're talking about your uncle's queue for the pancake table. You had a queue around the table at every single event you came to. People just was raving about your book. So I'd love to hear a bit more about your journey to becoming an author.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you know what? Having the book was always like one of the things on the goals list. Like, one day when I'm 50 years old, I'm going to write a book about all my entrepreneurial journey. I ended up writing a book at 21,
Wow.
which at the time, I'd just beginning my journey, but I guess it's that whole thing of you're still ahead of a lot of other people who didn't even start. So I aimed it at that early generation who were still thinking about it, and they could still be thinking about it for the next 20 years. And it's probably until their point where they get to the point of retirement and they look back on their life and it's like, oh, I should have started this business when I was younger. And for me, I didn't want to have that regret, and I didn't want my other people to have that regret. I wanted people to at least try things. And I was a firm believer that doing it young was probably the safest point, as opposed to doing it when you're older. You got a wife, kids, a mortgage, and a dog to feed, and things become very sort of tight. So it was more of a mission to inspire other people. Just take action now. Just do it. Now's the time. Now's probably the best time that you're going to have. If this thing isn't for you, at least you figure that out early. But you don't want to be sitting there with, oh, I should have, would have. You see your own idea on Dragon's Den. It's like, oh, I could have started that. I had the idea when I was younger. Just do it. Learn a bit about yourself. So that's kind of how it came around. That's where the passion to start to do it early. The actual opportunity was a bit different. I was at a business conference. I just graduated, and at the back of the room, there was people who were trying to sign you up for like courses. And I said to myself, oh, let me go have a chat with them. And I didn't really need to sign up for a course. I didn't even have the money to sign up for a course at the time. But I told them like, yeah, I'm already an author. I'm just trying to fob them off just so I can sort of escape really. And then, oh, tell me about your book. I'm like, oh, it's called How to Be a Student Entrepreneur. And I started telling them stuff about I thought should be in a book like that. And then I swapped business cards, and about 3 days later, my business card had been passed on. And the CEO of a publishing company contacted me and said, are you the author of the book, How to Be a Student Entrepreneur?
Wow.
I was like, yeah. And then, can you tell us a bit about the book? It sounds quite interesting. So I started again, just telling stuff that I thought should be in a book like that. And then they're like, right, how many chapters is it? I was like, chapters, 9. They're like, oh, we normally expect 12. I'm like, yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12. Just put the finishing touches,
Did I say 9?
So then I had like a verbal agreement that if I can put the finishing touches together and send it in like within the next 3 to 4 weeks to them, if they like it, they'll publish it. I said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I got off the phone and I'm like, Lord, I've just got a global publishing contract. I haven't written one word yet. So in true entrepreneurial fashion, I started writing. It was actually quite easy to write because I was doing it myself and I was just teaching everything that I learned. And I was just pouring everything into the book, and I was just trying to structure it into a good way. So I wrote the book in about 3 weeks, and then I sent it through to the publishers, and they said, yeah, it's perfect. We liked it. Pretty much first draft, you hit the nail on the head. They did 1 or 2 little editing tweaks. And then they launched it about 4 months later in front of thousands of people. And that took my career as a speaker through the roof. And then I started doing whole speaking tours and started perfecting my brand as a speaker. And 10, 20 years, no, not 20 years later, but a long time later, I'm still speaking on stages now. I travel to about at least 300 events, probably like every calendar year. So
Wow.
it's quite busy, and probably about 75% of them are schools, which is what I love, because that's who I was really sort of aiming at with that book. Schools, universities, and sort of people early on in their career.
And TEDx speaking as well.
And TED, yeah, done TED. That was
Forgot
enough.
about that one. Just forgot about that one.
Yeah, TED somewhere there.
Just said somewhere.
Yeah, even the TED talk. I never, you always had the goal that one day I want to do a TED talk, but again, I think I did that at 22. And how I got the TED talk, again, I was just at a networking event. And then there was this guy who was just asking me questions, and questions about my life, about my background, about what I'm doing, and about how I think, and blah blah blah. And he just literally just grilling me. I was like, "This is not fair. Let me get to know you. Who are you?" And he says, "Oh, hi, my name's so and so, and I'm actually commissioned to organize the next TED talk here in London, and now I want you to be one of our speakers."
Ooh.
So I was like, wow, okay. So I didn't do any application. I completely went through the back door. But it just shows, just being your authentic self. And because you never know what opportunities are on the horizon. And I think it also shows, I think both stories about how I got the book and how I got the TEDx is just staying ready. Staying ready for every opportunity. Both of the opportunities I could have declined, but clearly they both thought I was ready for it just by having conversations with me. So if I get that type of validation from people who are experts in the field, who am I to doubt myself just because I've never done it? So even though I might not feel ready, I'm gonna stay ready or get ready very quickly.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Yes.
That's it. So it's so that's something that I still sort of take on in life, because you wake up, you never know what opportunity is going to fall in your lap. You never, we don't have the timeline. We might think that, yeah, this is going to happen in the next 20 years. And God's like, no, it's going to happen in the next 20 days. But if it's, I'm a strong believer in faith that, if God's going to give you like the vision for something, he's also going to give you the provision. So you don't even have to worry and fret about, oh, I don't have this yet. I don't have all my ducks in a row. If I waited for money for every single business, I wouldn't have set up a business. If I waited for the right employees for every single business, I wouldn't have set up. So it's just like you put it out there, you take action, and then you start to see that you're building things as you're going along. And it's not all going to be there in one place, but it will come, having that sort of faith, and just no excuses really. I actually have a saying that I use quite frequently, and I always say it to the team, which is, before you bring an excuse to me, what could be done so that you don't need to use that excuse? So, oh, well, we couldn't get the work done on time, blah, blah, blah. All right, that's the excuse that you're going to bring to me next Friday when I ask you why this isn't done. But between now and next Friday, what can be done so that you don't need to use that excuse? And then suddenly this whole world of opportunities arises, like, do you know what? We've got another solution. We can do this. And that's the whole just getting ready, even though you might not feel like you've got enough time. What can be done so you don't need to use that excuse?
So really getting people to think ahead of the game, really.
Yeah. Even when I started out in property only about 4 years ago. I was never really sort of interested in property, but for years I made loads of excuses. Oh, it's a lot of money. Oh, the economy is not right timing. Oh, I don't know. I don't have any knowledge. I don't have all of this stuff, which is all valid points. But then it's like, all right, what can be done so you don't need to make this excuse? And suddenly the creative brain just like, okay, so you need to start to build this from now. Okay, you need to maybe partner up with these people. Okay, you don't have knowledge, go to this course. Okay, you don't have money. Okay, borrow from these people. Okay. And suddenly, within a matter of weeks, it's like, this is actually a reality. This is something that can be done. Since then, every year I go and buy a new property. And it's like, my situation hasn't necessarily changed dramatically, but I now see solutions where before I just saw excuses and barriers.
So it's expanding your minds.
Yeah.
Wow. So what are some of the challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur? Because I think a lot of the time is social media, we're seeing everybody glitz and glam, high life on yachts and stuff like that, and it seems like it's not possible for a lot of people. Now, what is the realities of being an entrepreneur?
I think some of the biggest challenges is, I think it's always going to go down to the individual. And it's not it is not to blame, but to put the responsibility on the individual. Because your challenges are specific to you. There could be like top 20 challenges. Maybe you've got number 17, number 7, and number 5 as your biggest challenges, and someone else is number 1, number 4, and number 9. So we all have different challenges, probably all in the same category, but we all have different challenges. But ultimately, I think everything rises and falls on leadership. So it might be, right, I don't have the right team around me, then you need to work on your networking skills. That's your biggest challenge. So I don't think it's like a one size fits all. However, what I would say that I've seen amongst many entrepreneurs or want to be entrepreneurs is, number one, they don't count the cost.
Yeah.
That's always a good starting point. They don't count the cost. And it's not even just the financial cost, it's the time cost of building something. It's the emotional cost. So because they don't do it and they just see the fast Instagram, microwavable success, they get real shock. It's like, oh my goodness, this is actually a lot of work. Oh, I left my 9 to 5. Now I'm working 12 to 12, and like 6 a.m. And it's like, oh my gosh, I left my stable income where I'm getting regular paycheck. Now don't know whether I'm going to get paid for the next 6 months, and I'm out of my depth here because I don't have the skills. And I left my boss who was annoying, but now I'm my own boss and I'm even more annoying because I can't do it myself. It's I think a lot of people, they don't count the cost, and this is another good reason to start early, because you can get all of that teething problems out the way, and you can get a bit of dose of reality for what you're trying to build. So yes, I always have this sort of I call it the CASS model, CASS. So first of all, count the cost. Second of all, have the accountability in place, because essentially when you're an entrepreneur, you are your own boss. So that's not always a good thing. Because I just roll out of bed at any point in the morning, where no, you have to work twice as hard on your own business than you would do someone else's business. Just because it's your own thing doesn't mean you get to take days off and things like that. You have to work even harder. So count the cost, have the accountability, have a strategy. Without the strategy, you don't actually know for anything. There's a recipe to making pancakes. There's a recipe to making a cake. You can't just say, right, I'm going to do this all on my own without some kind of strategy. There's always someone that's been there, done that, and got a t-shirt, learned the strategy and just copy. And then have a system in place so that this becomes habitual as well. So that I think the difference between someone actually runs their business versus someone who's just self-employed is that they have systems in place so that they don't burn out. So CASS, count the cost, have the accountability in place, whether that's a friend, whether that's an employee that you have to pay their wages every single month. So you need to actually make sure that you're accountable, and you're delivering in your sales. Have the strategy and have a system so that things can actually be scalable. Once all four things are in place, then you're pretty much safeguarded for this journey of entrepreneurship.
Wow. You hear that, everyone listening? Whether you want to be an entrepreneur, you're curious, there's the CAS system there as one of the models that Junior uses, which is very powerful. And we're in this world where jobs are not really that secure anymore. So a lot of people are looking to even just have a side hustle to actually have an additional form of income. So anything you can do around exploring what that might look like for you is really powerful. However, this is the Unwrap Your Gift podcast, and it's all about empowering people to unwrap their gifts so they can step into their power. And I believe that everybody has a special skill or a talent that they can use, that they can be successful. So what would you say is one of your gifts that you have?
Teaching.
Ah.
I definitely have a gift of taking very complex things and simplifying them for people. Whether that's in relationships, business, philosophy, faith, all the really complex things. I have a very good way of understanding stuff and teaching it. So I used to talk to people as if like I'm Robin Hood.
Okay.
I steal from the rich and give to the poor, but it's more I learn from the wise and I teach to the, for lack of a better term, the ignorant, because they haven't been shown in a particular way, because maybe that's just not the way that they understand things. It's not the way they articulate things. It's just not their environment. So I'm more comfortable going into environments where I'm I'm probably the youngest person, or I'm the only person of color, or I'm the only person of a particular economic background, and I can learn from what's happening, and I can go
Mm.
back and share with people who would never ever have access to those rooms, whether that's young people, whether it's early stage entrepreneurs. So I think that's definitely one of my gifts, and that's why pretty much all of my businesses, it always ends up me consulting other people who want to do the same thing. And I'm like, yeah,
Mm.
come on board. I do public speaking. Great. Let me show you how it's done. I set up a business. Great. Let me show you how it's done. I launched a podcast. Great. Let me show you how it's done. Um, and, and that's where I've always got the sort of the most success in it. Just being able to teach things in a very simple way for other people to understand.
I love that teaching. Yeah, very. It's very. It's consistent across everything that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, wow. And a lot of people feel that gifts have to be really like big, like singing or dancing, but sometimes it's really simple. Like you just said, teaching straight away. Like,
Mm.
and I think it's just important just to understand. It's just knowing what it is about you that makes you special and unique.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? Sometimes it's knowing who you're assigned to.
Mm,
I think put this way, nobody's purpose is just to be famous.
mm,
Not one person on earth's purpose it was ever to be famous. Um, can you be famous because of your gift? Yeah, great. You can do, but that wasn't the original design. Nothing, there's no product on this earth that is created just to serve itself. There's nothing that's created just to serve itself. It's always to a group of people or a person. Whether it's the pen, it was created for someone, with the laptop, it was created for a group of people or a particular person. So same thing with us. We have our skills, our talents, and we have to think, right, who are we here to serve with this? It could be maybe you might feel like, you know what, the only thing I have to offer this world is I'm a good mother. That's it. Well, you might be raising the next prime minister of the country who's going to be, he or she is going to be leading the country out of the next recession that's going to come. We don't know. But if that's the only gift and that's your assignment to that particular person, that's good enough. Um,
mm,
so it's not like you have to, we compare people's gifts like, right, this person's made millions and this person's got all this fame and this person's got all these Instagram followers. That was never the measure of a gift. Each and every single one of our gifts is unique to us and it's assigned to a particular group or a person. So I think if your focus is more on who's this gift for, it could just be people in your local area. Maybe you've seen something and that shaped you. Maybe you heard something on the news and it's hit you harder than everybody else. I was finding it so funny, like when I hear like activists about who are really passionate about a particular subject, and they look at everybody else as if, why are you not screaming and shouting about this thing? Like, I'm not called to that. You're called to that. I'm
mm.
called to something else. I'll see something else and that will really hurt my heart. And I'm looking at you thinking, why are you not passionate about this? So some person screaming out, come on, we have to save the whales. And other people like, forget the whales. I need to feed the children in Africa. And I'm like,
Mm.
forget the children in Africa. I need to make sure that the children in America. So it's not a hierarchy. We're all assigned to different things. And yeah, we can get people to join our crusade and bandwagon, but you have to remember they're also assigned to different things as well. I like business. I like running my business. Doesn't mean that my future children are going to be entrepreneurs. They might be assigned to teaching. That's what they take from me. They might be assigned to working in the medical field. They might be assigned to helping build homes or just to do charity work.
Mm.
They don't necessarily have to take over my business just because I was an entrepreneur or blah 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 blah. So everybody respecting that everybody has their own passions, everyone has their own journey, everyone has their own stories. And you can't really learn your gift by looking on Instagram, looking what everyone else is or what society deems as this is a powerful purpose.
Mm.
I know people who have made more impact in young people's lives doing public speaking than Tony Robbins. I know people who have spoken to hundreds of thousands of young people at a critical stage of their life. Maybe they're on the brink of suicide, but they've got no notoriety, they've got no fame, and they probably don't even earn the same level of income as Tony would do. But it's not a either or, it's not this or that. It's this is who you're assigned to. You might become rich and wealthy with it. You might not. You're lucky to be in a field where you will get lots of notoriety about that, or maybe, I don't know, lucky or unlucky, because it might not be what the other person wants. So everybody's gifts are very, very different, and they should be measured differently. But everybody's gift is not for themselves at all. It's always for somebody else. That's why it's a gift.
Absolutely. It is why it's a gift, and it's your gift, your unique gift. And when you use your gift, you may empower other people to unlock their gifts too.
Absolutely.
And that is why it's so important to actually get in tune with, what is my gift? What is it about me that I can use to serve other people? And then who knows what will come out of them unwrapping their gifts and then serving other people too. So I really love what you said. That's so powerful. So imagine that, because you touched on it just now about serving other people, and the whole theme of season 2 podcast is about legacy. So what legacy would you like to leave in the world?
I'd like to know that the ideas that I shared moved on. Because sometimes you get sort of ideas, it starts and it stops, and then you have other ideas that create a movement. So I'd like to know that the truths that I shared were groundbreaking enough to actually change people's lives, so that that becomes the new normal. I mean, I think that's something that everybody is trying to do in some way. And I don't actually agree with every new normal. And I think some things that we now have introduced as the new normal is more counterproductive for society, or counterproductive for some people. And I want to try to help reset that, but also, challenge. And this is why we have new ideas, because old ideas can be challenged, but also new ideas can also be challenged. There's a new generation of people who are dating differently. There's a new generation of people who are doing business differently. There's a new generation of people who are trying to generate income differently. And not all of that stuff is working. It's very experimental, when there are timeless truths that have always worked and will always work. And sometimes the reason we sort of, as society, we gravitate to new things is just because we have this this need not to, we don't want to accept the truth sometimes. I'll give an example. We want things done very, very quickly. Like, what's the fastest way to get rich? What's the fastest way to build our business? What's the fastest way to do all of this stuff? Which is great, but in a sense of efficiency, it's very good and it's innovative. But sometimes when you get things too fast, you miss the development process. Sometimes there's a character building process that's required to sustain you in a particular position. So if you get there too fast, it becomes counterproductive. It becomes destructive for you. And that's why we get loads of people now who get to the pinnacle of their career and then they get cancelled straight away, because their character was never good enough to sustain them there. They got shut up too quick. Whether it's a young footballer who hasn't had the time to grow up and mature as a man, but instantly he's thrown into the limelight, and now he's put on a pedestal and he's got to be a role model. He's been in the game for like 18 months. What type of role model is he going to be? So that's one of the dangerous things when we try to accelerate things too fast. So that's just one example of like one of the new ways that we do things, trying to get things done quickly, when we forget that there's beauty in a process. The process was also preparation. So by doing it quick, you skip the preparation, and then what happens? It falls quickly. And that's why we see so many people nowadays just get into a certain point and they're not being able to handle it mentally. They have breakdowns. Or people get into a certain point and then they suddenly get cancelled because it's like, oh, look at you, you're not who we thought you were. When they never claimed to be. We just shut them up into superstardom. So yeah, those are some of the things that I see now, and it really sort of hurts my soul, because I know we're trying to strive for a better society, but I think sometimes we do things in a way where we're losing the human touch, we're losing the human element, and we're losing the thing that actually makes success sustainable. People have fleeting success, and then they can't manage it. So yeah, that will be one of the sort of legacies that I'd like to leave. Basically, how do we create something that's sustainable, not just a fleeting idea, and something that helps people here today but not tomorrow.
Wow. And I love what you said about the process as part of the preparation. The process is part of the preparation, and we sometimes want to skip the process and just get straight there. However, the process is the thing that builds our character. Wow, very powerful. So what do you have planned for the future? What's your vision? What's coming up? What should we be looking out for?
Yeah, so I'm just about to launch my latest venture,
Hmm.
which is basically it's an AI driven website builder, mainly for podcasters at the moment. But we are going to look to expand that to other sort of sectors where, you know, anybody who's got an idea, they can just enter the description of their business idea and we'll build a website for them instantly. So that's something that's really cool,
Wow.
that we're working on at the moment. So that's going to be my focus for the next couple of weeks to months to maybe even years. So I'm really enjoying the journey at the moment. Still doing all the public speaking. I will get back to doing sort of more events and training soon, but for now, I'm doing my own sort of journey and focus as well. And as part of the process, I'm actively working on myself a lot more,
Mm.
mentally, physically, emotionally, because if you're going to get to the next level, you're going to need to, you know, put stuff in there that can hold you. So I'm going deeper right now on myself, so that when I do rise, the roots are strong.
Ooh.
Um, so yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to just dig deep. So I've been doing that probably even for the past, you know, 2 or 3 years actually, just sort of right, less active on social media, less active out in events, but more sort of introspective and working on myself and laying those foundations. But it's not like, not necessarily hiding, it's more preparing for what's
Mm.
to come. So yeah, big stuff on the horizon soon. We're about
Oh.
to launch.
You hear that? We're about to launch, and doing the inner work before you start to get out there and really, really implement the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
key, very key. So one of the things, as we're coming to the end of the interview soon, one of the things I like to ask our guests is, what's one of your favorite quotes?
One of my favorite quotes is, it's actually one of my own quotes, which is, to do something new, you must become someone new.
Ooh.
So yeah, to do something new, you must become someone new. You can't, um, you know how Apple releases like an upgraded version of the same phone every single year?
Yep, and we all go get it.
People go rush out and get it and they pay all over again.
Mm,
And there's like a small change, maybe like old bugs have been fixed or like camera quality's just been upgraded a little bit. There's always some kind of improvement, some kind of software update. I see that with, I think that's how human beings should be as well.
mm,
Every year you should actively look to, right, what's the new thing?
mm,
Because the world is constantly changing. Um, you're always being thrown into either a whole new year group, a whole new course, a whole new challenge in life, a whole new stage. And sometimes we have the same old operating system as 5 years ago, and we're trying to be successful in this new year to come. So I always look at that. What's my new upgrade? What's my
mm,
new feature? You know, did I learn to play the guitar this year? Did I improve in confidence? Did I improve my communication skills? Did I mend that relationship with that family member? Did I start to put my saving habits in place? What's that new thing that's going to help me to become the success that I see in the future? So whoever we want to be in the future, none of us is qualified for it yet. If
mm.
we had qualified for it, we'll be there. So there's a protocol, there's stuff that we need to do that can help us qualify for that thing there. So yeah, in order to do something new, you have to start to become someone new, start to do that work on yourself to become that new version of yourself.
Always upgrades. I love that. Love that. And amazing. So what's one last message that you'll love to leave with everybody listening today?
Um, Take action. As we said at the start of the podcast, take action. I think a lot of people are scared that, you know, if I do it and I fail, then I'm a failure. Failure isn't the opposite of success. Failure is like a necessary step to becoming successful. So take action, fail, and then learn from that failure, and then take action again, and then fail, and then learn from that failure, and then take action again, and just keep going, because each time you're failing, you're getting closer and closer towards success. You're probably the best place to go and do it again because it's fresh in your mind. So I guess my final point would be, take the L, but the L isn't like a loss. The L is the learning. So
Oh, jeez.
take the learning and move on. Yeah. Oh, I failed in a relationship. Great. Go and take the L and then move so that you don't repeat the same mistake next time. Oh, I failed in the business. Great. Go and learn it. Go and learn what happened. What did you do wrong? What did you say? What email did you send out? What could you improve on? And then do it again so that, with this new learning, how can I be better?
That is wicked. Take the L. I love it. I love it. Wow. So how can people stay in contact with you if they want to?
Do you know what? I'm pretty much on every single social media platform, even Threads now. And it's just JR_entrepreneur. So reach out to me, send me a message. I check it probably like once a week. So yeah, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. Any questions, just fire it away. I will probably take a little bit of time to respond, but I will eventually respond. And hopefully we can start a nice relationship and conversation with anybody who wants it. So yeah, I'm always here to share with people. This is my thing, to teach, and always available for anybody.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Junior. You have been an amazing guest. I've enjoyed our interview today, and it was great to catch up. So hopefully everybody listening or watching has found this very valuable. And I'd love to close with the famous words. Remember, we are all born with a gift, and we all have special skills, talents, and gifts that we can use to be successful. And now's the time to unwrap your gifts. Have an amazing, amazing day, and see you soon. Bye.
Right.